I trying to present myself as a luxury brand, but when I get the postcards in the mail side by side, I can see that I'm not. I was afraid of spending the money. I talked to my husband about it. He's like, what are you doing? Spend the money. This is going to change your brand completely. I mean, he was 100% right. I've had 2 listings since, totaling almost $6 million.
Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand. Have you thought about building a referral network to bring consistent business, but you're just not sure where to begin? Our guest today has built a national network of like-minded real estate agents and brokers and turned those relationships into rock-solid referrals that, get this, provided almost exactly half of her business last year. I know you're listening now. She's also one of our clients. She's here today to talk about her personal branding journey and how that helps her in her local market as well as her national referral network.
And now we'd like to welcome Cherie Harrington from one of my favorite places on earth, Carlsbad, California. Welcome, Cherie.
Thank you, guys. I love being here.
We love having you. We've been looking forward to this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're going to start, Cherie, kind of where we start with everybody. Everything starts with what or who might have shaped you in your life. So was there a specific person for you or a specific event that kind of shaped who you are today and resulted in what you're doing?
So I would say my parents, because they were both entrepreneurs. My mom was a real estate broker. She still is. She's 80 years old and she's still doing real estate. But they taught me that I can do anything that I want to do. I just have to put my mind to it. And I've always kind of kept that throughout my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. And, it always goes back to our childhood and how we grew up and those things that shape us the very most in life. I find that it doesn't matter, who you are or where you are in life. It all comes down to that. And that's why I love to start with that question.
I agree 100%.
Yep.
I have to ask, did you try other things before real estate that you thought were a passion, or have you always sort of been focused on the real estate business?
Yeah, so I had a corporate career for over 31 years. I worked for a fast food company and I worked my way up from working in the store up to a director position within their real estate department for commercial real estate. So I did that for a long time. Was very burned out. I got my real estate license in 2003 with the idea that this was going to be my old lady job. Little did I know how much work it was going to be. So a little over 5 years ago, I decided the corporate grind was just too much for me. I was gone Tuesday through Friday every week traveling. I was never home. And my husband said, I think it's time for you to try this real estate thing. So I took a leap of faith and it was super scary. I left a lot of stock options on the table. I was making good money, and going from that to a commission type job was very scary, but I'm so glad I did it.
We are too.
Yeah, we are too. You've been really successful at it. That's good. So I guess mom and dad were right. You put your mind to it. You can do anything you want, right?
Sure, 100%.
Let me ask you something personal to us. Why did you decide to come to the BrandFace program?
So I listen to podcasts every morning when I'm working out, and I had listened to, I'm trying to remember the name of it now, the Chatty Bazzy. I can't remember the name.
Oh,
of it.
We love Chatty. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you guys were on that. So it was interesting. I had been farming my neighborhood for about 3 years, and my husband and I were talking about the way my postcards looked compared to the competitors. And then I heard that podcast and you guys were on it. And honestly, I listened to it probably 3 times before I called you. And then I was like, I have to do something. I trying to present myself as a luxury brand, but when I get the postcards in the mail side by side, I can see that I'm not. I can see that I'm not from my headshots, my website, all of that was not screaming luxury. So I called and had the first call with Tanya, and I was still kind of like, oh, I don't know. Do I want to spend the money on this? And I talked to my husband about it. He's like, what are you doing? Spend the money. This is going to change your brand completely. I'm so glad I did. I mean, you guys completely changed my world. So I really appreciate it. It was just random that I heard about you from that podcast.
Well, we appreciate that. We really do.
And we're so glad you did.
And
You've become a great friend.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is you said, okay, first of all, you listened to that podcast 3 times before you even thought about, scheduling something with us. And then even after that first call, you were really, really sure, and that happens sometimes, of course. Yeah. So were you, or maybe a better question is, what were you afraid of in making that decision?
I was afraid of spending the money. That was the number one thing. And then, just talking through that with my husband, he's like, this is going to pay for itself in one deal that you get, because my whole focus was wanting to get a listing in my neighborhood. And I had been farming for 3 years, no response, 0. And I was using very professional company for my postcards. They looked professional. They just didn't look luxury, and they didn't compare to what was already out there. So I think that was it. And I mean, he was 100% right. I've had 2 listings since, totaling almost $6 million just for those 2 listings. So I would not have gotten those without you guys. Just wouldn't have happened. So I'm so happy that I put the money out and just went for it. And I think part of it too was the time. I was worried about, I don't have any time. My assistant had just started at the time. She wasn't fully trained. I'm like, how am I going to fit this into my schedule? But honestly, you guys made it so easy by the way everything is set up. And it's just, here's step 1, step 2, step 3, and so on and so forth. And it was just very easy to follow.
That's good news too, because we really did want that for sure.
Absolutely.
And I relate, being in the same business, being in the real estate business here on the East Coast, and I learned it from her. And so, I took a leap of faith. I was in San Bernardino, California when I hired her.
Okay.
Or when I committed, after grilling her for about 2 weeks, every question imaginable. Same fears as you, didn't have time, did the expense. But I was like, oh man, baseball players aren't worth that. That's ridiculous. And she's like, trust me, it'll be worth every dime spent. And she did not lie. She did not lie. It's been worth every dime. Was there a hard part of the program, in your opinion?
I don't think so. I think the time that it takes, and not that it's an excessive amount of time, but I'm very, I'm a super high D personality, and I'm like, I just want this done. So it was a process, but I understand after going through the process, like each part of that is so important, even down to having that consultation with the design person that talks to you about what you're supposed to wear for your headshot. Mm-hmm. It made me go into my headshots knowing exactly what I needed the photographer to do, and that I needed to hire like a real photographer this time, not somebody who's doing photos on the side or whatever, but someone that could perform on what I needed to elevate my brand.
Mm-hmm.
And those photos were stunning. I have to say.
Amazing job.
They were beautiful. So, the name of this podcast is Be Bold Branding. So how does your brand make you feel bolder, Cherie?
It's completely changed the way I feel. And I think the interesting thing is people on my social media saw it. So I have 3,500 people on my friends list or whatever on Facebook, but people were noticing the branding change, and they were sending me a PM saying, oh, your photos look amazing. Your branding looks awesome. And started calling me Mrs. Carlsbad or Miss Carlsbad. And I thought that was kind of funny because everyone knew I was from, or I thought everyone knew I was from Carlsbad before. But when I really started, just incorporating Carlsbad into my social media and into my marketing, it was a game changer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I could not agree with you more. And I'm glad to hear you say it. It's very important to us. And then, we're very happy that you're a part of the BrandFace family now. That's what really makes it really fun for us. So
absolutely.
And you already really touched on it, right? Your brand has helped you secure business and has set you apart now. And now how do you feel when you compare your postcards to the other postcards that get mailed out?
Oh, it's awesome. It's like, it's night and day. And I feel like just going through the process with you guys as far as how I should present myself and how I should dress and those types of things. Because in the beginning, Tanya and I were talking about luxury lifestyle refined. And then we landed on luxury lifestyle redefined because I felt like refined wasn't approachable. And I want to be very approachable, but I also want to look professional. And I dress completely different now than I did before. You know, I didn't pay attention to how I was portraying myself on social media or when I was doing videos. I want to make sure that I look professional but approachable. And that's been a big deal for me because I want to work with people that are approachable as well. I don't want to be in a stuffy category of luxury, I guess you would say, but just where the people are nice and that I can have a good time during the transaction and they can as well. And then we become friends afterwards.
You know, that's a really important part that I want people to take away from this interview, because you can be a very professional person and you can be a very approachable person at the same time. But unless you dial that in into how you're putting it out there and how you are allowing your brand to represent you, you may not be representing yourself the way that you deserve to be represented, right? And it really takes some thoughtfulness to that part of it to say, okay, well, what do I want to wear, right? And I know for a lot of people, it's like, well, just put on a suit, put on a nice dress, just, you know, do these things. You want to look as high end as possible, right? Well, you want to look as professional as possible, but you also want to look like somebody can walk up to you at a coffee shop and ask you something and not get their head bit off, right? It's like, that person's so friendly, I can ask her anything. And the very first time we were on the phone with you, I felt that from you. So there's just that approachability that's so authentic. You know, you can't make that stuff up, right? You just can't. So having that come out in your branding is gratifying to us too. It's like, I know what kind of person she is. I know that this is going to be fantastic, but seeing you see it is like that to me, that's what warms my heart, is to see how you've changed and how you've accepted that. I love it.
A fun thing for us too is we just did our team photos and we did different outfits, but a lot of them she captured us laughing. So on our website now, under Meet the Team, the cover photo for that is one of the agents and I standing next to each other laughing. And we had such a good time during that photo shoot. And the photographer is like, you need to show people what your personality is through these photos, not just the usual, you know, arms folded, realtor looking all serious.
Right.
Not who we are. So it was very important.
I think that is so important in the industry, you know, and I've been in it so long that, you know, we were doing the glamour shots back in the day. Right. And it's just not who we are really and truly in life. And I think that the internet has really given everybody an opportunity to read into who they're going to do business with. And in a society where we're taught, put your hands up and keep distance between commitments, picking a real estate agent is a commitment. Like, you're fixing to go into the biggest purchase you're going to do in your lifetime, most people, with this person by your side. And I think that a lot of our prospects, they really are like, well, you know, what if I don't like them? What if I have to fire them? What if they don't do good? And they run through all these unreasonable fears, most likely. And a brand that's dialed in like yours, it helps people to make the decisions that you are that authentic person, that you're going to give them the best advice. Even if you don't make a commission off of it, you're going to help lead them the way that they're supposed to be led. And so I agree, you know, those candid photos are very important for people to see, the messaging being dialed in so they know who they're going to deal with. And then they tend to relax a little bit, let the guard down so we can talk to them. And I think a brand does that perfectly. And you did it through the program. So with such sophistication, it was awesome. So
well, you guys did it, but I just did what you told me to do.
Well, yeah, we had good stock to work with, Cherie.
Oh,
good stock to work with.
It turned out beautiful, and we're very proud of you.
Yeah, we absolutely. Hey, we like and on Be Bold Branding, we like to ask 5 very important questions about your personal brand, and we do it Jay Leno style. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you're ready, I want to ask you, Tanya and I, 5 important questions about your personal brand. Number 5, counting backwards. Who do you serve? Who are your ideal customers?
So my ideal customer is active and retired professionals that are moving to or from Carlsbad.
Pretty Perfect. Simple.
Dialed
in. Very good. Yeah.
And that was scary. It's scary to dial that in.
Yeah. You could talk about that a little if you want to. That's a I know that's a thing that a lot of people they battle with. Yeah.
Right.
So you were concerned about that, I assume, just like everybody else is. Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, I just wanted to be branded luxury, but then I didn't realize the more you niche it down to who your perfect customer is, then you're going to attract them, and you're still going to attract other people. Mm-hmm. I was just afraid that I was just going to niche it down so hard that I would only attract those people, and everyone else would be like, she can't help me or whatever. But it's done the exact opposite. I'm getting more of the people in the niche, but I'm also helping more people. So it's just mentally hard to understand that when you're going through it.
It is mentally hard to do. And every one of us are guilty of it. I was guilty of it before she taught me different, because you're like, I want to turn away anything. And what you realize is I don't have to turn away anything. But when my marketing and my ROI on my marketing, it is definitely important, and an only way that you can track it. Plus, you get to learn everything about that ideal customer. So you speak their language. I mean, even down to the tiniest phrases that make the difference in why they choose you over somebody else.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And I want to interject something here, because that's the customer end of who Cherie is dealing with. But she also has another ideal customer, if you will, or let's just say ideal partner, shall we? And other real estate agents across the nation. Mm-hmm. You started a nationwide referral network that at the time we first met was over 120 agents strong. And it has brought you over, almost exactly half of your business this year. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to start that, since we're talking about the ideal customer here, or ideal partner. Why did you decide to start that?
So it actually started during COVID. The first couple of weeks of COVID, everyone thought they were going to die, and we're all locked down in our homes, and what am I going to do to lead generate? So I had been on the Bold group and Lab Coat Agents and all of those Facebook groups forever. And somebody would say, I need an agent in San Diego. And then 1,000 people would respond. And it was always the same people that were being shouted out or whatever. So I talked to my husband about it, and he actually helped me come up with a spreadsheet of every large city in the United States, every military base across the United States, because San Diego is a big military town, everywhere that I knew someone across the United States. And then we just started filling in potential referral partners, started a Facebook group. And I have a whole system behind this if somebody wants the one-page document on how to start it. But basically, I wanted to be able to refer people out and feel like they were taken care of. And they're people that I knew. So even if I didn't know them right away, I would get to know them through interviewing them first, adding them to my Facebook and my Instagram so I could see what they were posting, and making sure it was nothing controversial that maybe a client wouldn't want to see. So no religion, no politics, no COVID stuff. And then really getting to know that person and becoming friends with them. Mm-hmm. And now I think I have about 100 and, like you said, about 130 people on there, but I know every single person that's in that group, very, very well. So I would be 100% comfortable referring them business, and with them referring me business. So last year, I did 15 million in sales alone, just out of that group. And I am building, that's my lead generation tool, is my referral network. And then another MVP thing that I do for my clients, but I trust these people 100% and talk to them all the time. And then we have our first face-to-face meeting in Austin, and you guys are going to be there. I'm so excited about that.
We are too.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be nice for them to get to meet you because they've seen what I've gone through with my brand also in the last 3 years and how everything's evolved. And a lot of them have come to me and just said, what's going on? Your branding looks completely different. And it's been great because I've been able to give you guys some business too. And now they're able to elevate their brands. So it's a great program. Like I said, if anybody wants any more information on it, I'd be happy to email them the document and walk them through how to set up their own.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Leave in the comments, leave your requests in the comments and we'll make sure and get Cherie's information to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And how wise of that for you to do that, especially during that time. I remember I like to make fun of it. Actually, I remember when Grant Cardone and Robert Kiyosaki and all of them were like, "Oh, it's a death of real estate in America. Get out of real estate." And I'm like, took me about 2 weeks to realize I could get food,
right,
and I could get M&Ms, which is very important. And then we went back to work, and and so very smart of you to say, okay, let's meet up with these other people across the nation, and then tie in the fact that you are, San Diego is such a big military area. Camp Pendleton's huge, and so to find that liking kind in that group is very smart of you. And then I agree with you 100%. It's very important that you know who you're referring them to. We do the exact same thing when we have the BrandFace group that is all over 45 different states. But if for some reason it's in some town where we don't have a BrandFace agent, then, we go and we do that research and we make sure we talk to those people before we ever pass the referral. We make sure we have a relationship with them first, right, and that they would work good with us so we can trust who to hand them to. And now you've built this that you just know right off the bat, just like they're a part of your brokerage and team. And that's really smart, smart.
It's so important because in the beginning, I didn't understand that. And I would just ask somebody in my office, who do you know in Phoenix or wherever? And I would just pass the person off to them. And I got burned so many times and embarrassed, from colleagues and friends and family. And they're like, who is this person? Like they showed up to a listing appointment with nothing. And after a couple of times of that, I'm like, oh my God, I really need to do more homework. And now, like I said, I feel completely comfortable passing people off to anyone within that group. And everyone comes from contribution and they're all about the relationship. And it's been really nice. And I have had to boot a couple people out of there because they, worked with another agent in the group and I got feedback that they weren't responding or whatever. So we had to remove them and add more people, but it's been awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so smart. And just to recap, we're still on that question number 5, which is who are your ideal customers? And Cherie had to, she had that, professional, active or retired professionals moving into or out of Carlsbad. And then, of course, the other ideal customer for her, those referring partners all across the nation that she built. So now we're on to question number 4. And we'll just stick, for the purposes of people listening right now, stick to like the customer end of things, right? Okay. How do you serve your ideal customers?
Well, I feel like I am my ideal customer. So, I'm retirement age, I guess you would say. And my husband and I are both very active, and the neighborhood that we live in is what I want to serve, La Costa specifically and the Carlsbad area. So I feel like I can connect with these people really well. I do have an ex-corporate background, which helps a lot. Very systems and process oriented, and that means a lot to people. And I'm a very good communicator. I stay in touch with them, and that's really helped me form connections with people.
I love it.
Perfect takeaway. All right, number 3, what qualifies you to serve them? You sort of answered it a little bit right there, but what would you say qualifies you to serve them?
I would just say that I am them, and I understand like what I want in someone that's coming to my house, either to sell me solar or a pool or something. I know exactly what I want, and I try to give my clients or potential clients the same thing. Like they do not want to be sold to. They've been sold to their whole life, and they just want to know that you're there to take care of them and what you're going to do to get their home sold.
Awesome. All right. Number 2, how does it make their life better?
I would say just knowing that you're going to have someone that's going to communicate with you, right? So right now, the housing market has slowed down quite a bit. It's still a seller's market, but it has slowed, and providing reports on a weekly basis and feedback on a weekly basis so that they know what's going on, and you didn't just throw a sign in their yard and not communicate with them again. That's been a big deal for me. People are not used to, unfortunately, realtors communicating with them when things don't go well and homes don't sell right away. I feel like some realtors tend to retreat. And I don't. I want to over communicate with them so that they know that I'm doing my job. Here's what's being done. And it's just going to take a little bit longer right now.
That's so important. So important.
Handling those expectations.
Yeah.
Number one.
Another thing I learned from her. It's very important. All right. Number one, what sets you apart from others in your industry?
I think the communication part of it, and the fact that steal this from Ricky Caruth, who's an agent in Gulf Shores, Alabama, but the relationships over transactions. I don't have commission breath. I don't need to like make a sale. I don't want a relationship like that with my clients. I want them to love me when we're done, and then they get put into my MVP group, which is a whole nother process. And I just keep a relationship going with them. We do 4 to 6 client events a year, and I'm friends with everybody now that I do business with. So I think they can feel that I genuinely care about them, and I'm not just worried about getting a paycheck.
Fantastic answers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've got a gift, Cherie, that of that's very clear of this networking, and to bring that into your clients is also, I think, another thing that agents don't do well. They do not do follow up well, and it's something we try to fix on our end through our brokerage, because I recognize that, and for some reason it always blew my mind because so much of our business comes from things that we've done in the past with them. You carry that even further, and to have client events and things like that, and that many, you've just got a gift to pull people together and build a culture. And
that's it. It's a culture, right? Like, I feel like I don't want to cold call. I don't want to door knock. I did that in the beginning. It made me very uncomfortable. And I just want to reward those people that support my business. And that's what's built my business. I don't run ads on Zillow or subscribe to any of that. I just do this MVP program and the agent to agent network, and that's it. And it sounds very simple, and it's, it takes some time to set it up. And I've shared my program with so many people, and they're like, oh, it's too much work.
Yeah.
But it's not, and it's fun. You get to know people on a deeper level, and they enjoy coming to the events, and it just gets you more business that way. And it really does work.
I got fired up because nobody likes to cold call and knock on doors.
But they do it anyway. It's why put yourself through that. It's your own business, and you're making yourself suffer. That's what when I was door knocking, I would literally sit in my house until 3:00 in the afternoon, thinking about it, making myself sick every day. And then I would go do it, and it wasn't bad. And I did get some business off of it, but it's not me. It's not my thing that I feel good about. And I came from a corporate world where I had to do things that I didn't feel good about. And I just had to say to myself, you have your own business now. Why are you torturing yourself by doing these things you don't like?
Yeah. Agreed.
And you've truly redefined that, right? Yeah. For not only you, but for your clients and for the partners you're doing business with. Because what I love so much about you, Cherie, with regard to your networking business is that you protect that. You hold true to the values of that and treating people the way that they should be treated. And that just goes one more step in, toward your genuineness of doing this, which truly is that what sets you apart. Truly is.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. So maybe two last questions for you, Cherie. Here we go. What is the one message you want to leave our listeners with today when it comes to their personal brand?
Spend the money. Just do it. The way they have this system set up, it's so easy. They tell you what to do every week and you just have to do it and spend the time to do it. It is so worth it. It's a game changer completely. It completely changed my business for the good.
Good.
We're so happy to hear that.
Nothing makes us happier. Nothing. How could prospects reach out to you if they have any questions or want to work with you or join your group?
I'm very active on Facebook. So just Cherie Harrington, Cherie. Some weird spelling, but on Instagram, the Harrington Group. Our website is harringtongrouprealestate.com, but any one of those ways would be awesome. And I would love to connect with people. I always want more people, more agents for my agent to agent group, because we are looking at growing that. So would love to connect.
You bet. And we will endorse that, guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Wholeheartedly connect with her. You're crazy if you don't. Okay. Cherie, thank you so much. It's been such an honor and a pleasure to have you in this family and to have you as a true friend. So thank you for everything you've done for us as well.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys so much. Like I said, you changed my business, and I'm happy to call you guys friends now as well.
And we can't wait to Austin. We're going to have a blast.
Yes, we are.
Very quickly.
Yes, it'll
sure
be here
is.
before we know it. Thank you.
Definitely.
All right, folks, listen, hit that subscribe button right now, because we want to bring this kind of value to you every week. And so hit the notification button so you can be notified when we have new people just like Cherie, and we can bring you that value. You know, the reason that we do this is for prosperity. And when we talk about prosperity at BrandFace, we're not just talking about money. That's just a part of prosperity. We're talking about a true 360 of an abundant life that we want for every one of you. We know at BrandFace that prosperity favors the bold. So be bold, especially with your brand, folks, and connect with Miss Cherie. She will help you in any way possible. It will be a great connection, I promise you. And thank you, Miss Tanya.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time on Be Bold Branding.
Brought to you by BrandFace, the only comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe.